Der Klassiker. Dortmund hosting Bayern Munich, a clash of titans with title implications. Both teams walk away with a point, but the story goes far deeper than the 1-1 scoreline. If you look at Dortmund, they start off on a 4-2-3-1. You got Kobel in goal, Bentabani, Schlotterbeck, Anton, Ryerson, a double pivot of Pascal Gross, Mecha, Gittens on the wing, Sabitzer as the number 10 behind the striker. We got Bayer and we got Gurese. For Bayern Munich, they also started off in a 4-2-3-1. We got Manuel Neuer in goal, Lemar as the fullback, Upamecano, Kim, Alphonso Davies, a double pivot of Kimmich and Goretzka, Leroy Sané on the wing, Jamal Musiala behind the striker, and Matthias Tell, the winger, Harry Kane, the center forward. So under Nuri Sahin, Dortmund, they lined up in a 4-2-3-1. There was a clear emphasis on defensive solidity and rapid transitions, winning the ball back from that mid-block, attacking really fast. And Mecha and Sabitzer over here, they had to control that midfield, while Gittens, he provided that spark on the left wing. When Dortmund started attacking, they were basically building up with one guy over here, the midfielder, and this guy would tuck in one of the fullbacks. And so one of the midfielders, he would drop deep, mostly Sabitzer, and sometimes, this guy over here. So, at times it looked like a 4-3-3 as well, with this guy tagging in to form that double pivot. Their game plan most of the time was basically to absorb Bayern's pressure and strike swiftly on the counterattack, although they did do high pressing for a good part of the game when Bayern were building up. So when Bayern were building up with Neuer passing to one of the CBs and the CB passing to the fullback, what they did was their striker press Neuer or one of the CBs, and then the consequent presses start. So it became a man-to-man high press, and it worked pretty well during the start of the game. But then after that, they would most of the time fall into that 4-4-2 mid-block, and what Bayern would do was that they would have an attack sort of like in this sort of a formation. And, if Kimmich had the ball, then Goretzka would go up. But a lot of the time, to do that build-up, it was either Musiala dropping deep or Harry Kane at times, even falling deep. So Vincent Kompany, he had this 4-2-3-1 shape. Sané was also involved in the build-up and the task of breaking down Dortmund's mid-block, because this is where Dortmund wanted to win that ball back, and as soon as they won that ball back, it was like, okay, push really fast for that attack, because Sahin, he was a player under Jurgen Klopp, and Jurgen Klopp at Dortmund was the midfield, the mid-block was where all the magic happened, and from there all the attack. And then yes, once the other team was under pressure, there would be that amazing high press and that gegen press and all that stuff. So, but Harry Kane, he was the focal point. He would drop deep, he would do all that magic and everything. Musiala had dropped deep. He dribbled in the space over here, and he made that pass over here, which was intercepted, but the ball ended up with Bayern. And because of that Dortmund risky build-up play, Leroy Sané did get that shot from the wide angle, which Kobel had to save. Other than that, what Dortmund did was they were targeting that focal point attacker with the long ball from the goalkeeper. You get the ball, bounce it off one of these players, and then they would launch into this rapid counterattack. Just as this entire thing was happening, despite Bayern's dominance, it was Dortmund who struck first, and it all happened against the run of play. So in the 27th minute, Jamie Bynoe-Gittens over here with Lemar pressing him, he gets this pass, and he makes this dummy turn without even touching the ball. And with that burst of pace, Leimer being unable to catch him and these guys moving in late, he comes down that wide angle and makes that shot here with Neuer trying to block him off, but Neuer couldn't do anything about it. So it was a great goal, tight angle goal, 1-0 Dortmund. It was a goal born from pace, precision, and a fearless mentality. And then just 5 minutes later, Bayern's game plan suffered a major setback as Harry Kane, the team's talisman, was forced off with an injury. And so his replacement was Thomas Muller. And he brought experience, but he lacked Kane's physical presence and even the goal-scoring instincts. And more than that, Kane is like a false nine, dropping deep, acting as that extra man midfielder to help build up through the lines. Muller is mostly a guy who is a Raumdeuter, and a Raumdeuter, what he does is he's looking for those spaces to move into. So he's either gonna move in here, or if he's over here, he's gonna, look for that pass and make that run, or he's gonna, go over around here, make that diagonal run with the strikers moving in. So he's really good at, exploiting that space. This injury did was it disrupted Bayern's rhythm and it limited their ability to penetrate Dortmund's defensive line, which was really tight. 4-4-2. In the second half, Winston Kompany made some attacking changes. He introduced Kingsley Coman over here and Michael Olise on this side. And what this did was this not only increased the width of Bayern, but it also increased the pace. So Dortmund's defense, it held up for much of the half. And but Kobel had to make these series of crucial saves because when you're playing a low block or a mid block, then you're basically, as they say, you're suffering. And so, the goalkeeper comes into play a lot. Bayern's persistence finally broke through in the 85th minute. So it was a blocked free kick from Leroy Sané. It fell to Michael Olise, and he delivered that pinpoint cross to Jamal Musiala, who's at the far post, and he was unmarked. And he headed the ball past Kobel to level the score 1-1. It was a deserved equalizer for Bayern. They nearly tripled Dortmund's XG, and they did it through all these relentless attacks coming in the second half. If you look at the stats, Bayern had 14 shots compared to Dortmund's 7, and they had 5 shots on target compared to Dortmund's 2. They also had 68% possession, and they had 615 passes to Dortmund's 304, which was more than double. So they had this 87% pass accuracy, and Dortmund had just 72. And obviously, when you're playing those long balls to the striker and trying to build up from there and playing a counter-attacking game, obviously your pass accuracy isn't going to be that high. And because they were playing that defensive game, they also had more fouls than Bayern. In the dying moments, Dortmund did introduce Gio Reyna, and the reason for that was to stabilize that midfield because Bayern was continuously pushing for that winner. But, both teams in the end, they had to settle for a point with neither side being able to find that decisive goal. There's a result that, reflected Dortmund's resilience and Bayern's relentless pursuit. But in the end, it's just 1 point for both teams.